A very common question that I get is, how do I see spirits? So I want to talk about that a little bit today and give you an example of one of the more extreme sightings. Is a very popular question that I get asked. How do you see spirits? Do you see them outside of yourself? Do you see them in your mind? How does that unfold for you? And it's different for everyone. So I'll share with you today how I see spirits. I'll give you an example of a really extreme situation that I was in and talk a little bit about how it unfolds for mediums. It's not always you wake up one day and boom, you see everything. The majority of the time, it takes time to develop that intuitive channel. The intuitive channel's there. It just takes time to uncover it and open it until you can really access it with ease. Now, let's go back to the beginning. You might have already heard this story, but when I opened up intuitively, it was 2005. I was a full-on adult. I was also a full-on skeptic. My grandmother had recently passed away, and within an hour or two, she was standing in my living room in spirit form. Now, not my favorite day and my favorite day all at the same time. Not my favorite day because I was really frightened in the moment to go from complete skeptic, none of this is real, to all of a sudden she's standing there was really startling. But my favorite day because my life has never been better than it is right now as a result of opening up my spiritual path and following my intuition. So with that said, when she showed up that first time, she was about 70% solid and 30% transparent. For me, that was stunning. And after that, it actually took a little bit of time in order for me to be able to see another spirit. And I'll tell you what that's about. I had a lifetime of doubt. That was my habit. I mean, that was literally the synapses firing in my brain about doubt. This isn't real. It's not there. So although I had this one pivotal moment with her, my brain went right back to what it only knew, which was doubt. This isn't real, it can't happen. And that was the pattern that my brain went through. So it took me some time to be able to open up that channel, put that doubt to the side, and start to open up to the visuals again. And when I did, then I was able to relax into it and see her once more. But this was a few months after the first situation. So for me, it didn't just flip on. It wasn't like I woke up one morning and this is how it's going to be. For me, it was very much, I needed to focus in on myself, focus in on how my intuition was flowing, and focus in on relaxing into it and learning how to have faith. One of the things that helped me tremendously over the first actually 2 years of becoming a professional medium and then teaching others how to open their intuition, one thing that helped me greatly, and I'll put a link in here for you, was the No Doubt Notebook. And in essence, that's a tool that helps you to break that habit of doubt. And just know it's a habit. It's not how you're wired. It's not who you are. It's just a habit. And that habit can be put to the side and replaced with the reality of what's going on each day. So if you're struggling with doubt, that is a fantastic tool. Like I said, I'll put a link in here for a free video for you. You can watch it and then you can start using it right away. You will love it, I promise. So fast forward, after I saw her a couple months later, I was overjoyed, and it was one random day in a grocery store that I started to see more spirits in addition to just her. Then that gradually grew into where, like I said, I became a professional medium and I was able to tap in and look around and see what was going on. Beyond that, I became someone who does crossing over work and can walk into a space and see if there's any spirits there that are stuck, which brings me to you here today. Now, how I see them. Some people see spirits in their mind. Some people see spirits outside of themselves. And sometimes someone will say that in my mind's eye, but you have to get curious when someone says, oh, I see them in my mind's eye, and actually ask the next question. When you see them in your mind's eye, is that inside your mind or outside of your body? Because it's very different for different people. Some people see spirits just like they see visuals inside their mind, and they can close their eyes and communicate. For me and for some others, we see them outside of ourselves, a couple feet away, further. I guess distance doesn't matter, does it? But I do see spirits outside of myself. I'm laughing because I know why I said couple feet away, because I set my boundaries. I'm telling you, I set my boundaries. I'm like, you won't, don't be 2 inches from me, because that's going to make me uncomfortable. So you have to be like 3 feet away or further. That's just me. That's that's my personal space. But I do see them outside of myself. And also I see them transparent. There's a whole spectrum. And this is where I want to get into this story, because it's kind of a fun one. It's kind of a creepy one, but it's kind of a fun one. And there's a whole spectrum of how people can see spirits, whether it's in their mind as a visual or outside of themselves. They can see them all the way from a very faint, kind of reflective shimmer kind of feel. Think in terms of heat rising off of a road, and you can see that shimmer of heat just coming off that pavement. That's one way that people can see them. So I would say very transparent, but they know that something's there, and then they can see that there's a little sort of riff in the agreed upon reality. That is on one end. On the complete other end of it is going to be seeing a spirit that is in the in-between or crossed over. Both of these situations can happen. Most often, this is someone that's stuck, though, that is 100% solid. 100% solid. And then you have everything in between. You got the 20% solid, 50% solid, grandma 70% solid. On a day-to-day basis, I will say that the majority of spirits that I see are usually about 30% solid, 20 to 30% solid. And they're faint, but I can see, things about them that they want to show me, their height or their, their identity, or how they're connected to this, or perhaps their job by the clothing that they're wearing or something like that. But I would say 90% of the time, I see them about 20 to 30% solid. So mostly transparent. Now, there was this one time that I saw completely solid. And I'll be direct and say, I did not know this person was deceased. Nope, had no clue. I was going about my day and just was not aware. And then people say, well, how often do you see them completely solid? I would love to tell you that. I am aware of maybe 2 or 3 times in the last, 17 years, something like this. But I can't tell you for sure, because if they're solid, just like you are, I don't know, unless I interact with them. So I could be walking through a mall and I don't know, you just might walk past someone that, you just see them fully solid. Again, very rare. I've only been aware that this was the situation maybe twice, maybe 3 times. And I can't even think of the other 2 off the top of my head, but this one stuck. This one was creepy for me as a female. It was creepy. And I was, like I said, running about my day to day. I was in the middle of the day. I had to go to the drugstore. I parked in the parking lot, went into the drugstore. It was this little tiny drugstore that was in a strip mall sandwiched between, I want to say a little like fast restaurant, like a sandwich shop, and I think a Hallmark card, but it was in this weird strip mall, not like you normally see a pharmacy here in the United States, because I know that we're global, but here you see them on the corner and there's huge parking lots and they're a standalone building. This was in a strip mall. It was really strange. But I ran in there to get something, and you walk into, there's only one door in and out because it's so small. And you walk in, you have to go around the registers to get into the belly of the store. And I'm walking up and down the aisle and I see a man. He's probably 5'9", slender. I say this with as much respect as possible, but a little he's just a little greasy. He was a little like maybe he had just gotten off of like hard labor job or something. He was just, kind of a little disheveled, but And his clothes looked slightly odd. Like, I would have guessed, if I knew initially he was a spirit, I would have said, oh, you're from back in like the 40s, 50s. But here I am thinking, okay, here's this retro dressed man. I almost said gentleman, but he was not. Man, and that looked like he had just gotten off work, and he was just sort of slightly disheveled and a little bit greasy. And he looked at me, and it was just him and I. And he smiled that smile that y'all know when someone you don't want smiling at you smiles, and you know they have an intention on their mind. And as a female, my first reaction was, nope, this is not okay. I didn't say anything. I turned around, I went to a different aisle because I thought this was a living person. They were completely solid, nothing to show me that it would be anything different. My guides didn't alert me. I wasn't on the job. I wasn't focused. I was very much in my human world. I probably was picking up something for my kids. I mean, I was really in the human. And I go around to a different aisle, and I'm just gonna, kind of stay by the cash register enough at the end of the aisle so that someone can keep an eye on me. Well, he didn't leave. And then all of a sudden I couldn't see him. And I said, all right, well, I don't know where he is. I'm just going to go back in that aisle because he's not in that aisle anymore. I'm going to grab what I need and I'm going to go. And I went back in the aisle, and I turned around to head to the front of the store. And now he's at the end of the aisle that is between me and the cashier. So my choice is to go past him or to go to the back of the store and pick a different aisle. And I just stood there for a minute thinking, okay, I have to make this decision. I watched him walk off to the side of the aisle. So he kind of disappeared behind the side, like he was going into a different aisle. And I was like, oh, phew. All right, good. I feel better. He's going into a different aisle. I'm just going to check out and get out of here. So I go to the register, and again, there's only, I think there was only 2 registers, or maybe there's just one. It was such a small shop. The only way you can get out of the store is to go past this register, take a left in the store, walk about 8 feet, and then take a right out the doors. So I'm facing the register, which means up ahead of me, out of, slightly to the corner there, is the exit, the only exit to this place. I finish at the register. There's no sign of this gentleman. I'm being kind there because he was very creepy, and it was very much that feeling of like he wanted to do something harmful. I check out, and I go and I walk out the door. And now, mind you, no one's left the store while I've checked out, because I am on heightened awareness. I'm heightenedly, aware of everything going on around me. You know what I mean if you've been in that situation. You know everything happened around you. And I grab the bag and I go out the front door, and I'm going to make a beeline for my car, and I'm going to head home because I've had enough. And I get out, and right in front of the shop, to the right, as you exit the door out to the parking lot, to the right is a park bench sitting up against the wall. And he is sitting there on that park bench, looking at me like I am a snack. And I thought, nope. And all of a sudden it clicked. In my head, I went, you didn't leave the store. And this is a big, long strip mall. Okay. There's probably 12 stores, and I'm in the middle store, meaning if that person had walked out the back, he would have had to sprint around the entire strip mall building to sit in that bench that was right outside of the drugstore. So I turned and I looked at him, and he smiled at me with that smile. And then I knew. And all of a sudden the medium in me came out, and I, right out loud, I said, you're not even alive. And poof, gone, just gone. It's like completely gone. He just disappeared. And I kind of shook a little bit. Not going to lie, I kind of shook a little bit because it was not my favorite moment. First off, I'm in a heightened fear for myself, for my safety, because I feel hunted by a creepy, creepy guy. And then secondly, you've now taken me by surprise because I was 100% certain you were still in the store, and I was getting in my car and I was going to go home. Thirdly, it all came together for me. I went into medium mode, realized energetically, you're not even alive, called you out on it, and then you disappeared in front of my eyes, which didn't make me feel any better. Because now I got to go to my car and I don't know where he is. And I know he's not crossed over. Feeling very, 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 very vulnerable. I decided not to go to my car. I stood in the front of because there's big windows and I could see the cashier behind me, and it's middle of the day, lots of people out and about. And so I stood there and I said to my guides, okay, what do I do? What do I do? Number one, never had this happen. Number two, kind of freaked me out. Number three, I don't know how to go home safely. Like, I know he had his attention on me, and I also know that he's not limited by the agreed upon reality. What do I do? And it was kind of cute because my guide first said, well, stop freaking out, get into work mode and do your job. And I went, oh, okay, I'm going to step out of human fear like we should when we do crossing over work, and I'm going to get into my job. And that's exactly what I did. I kind of took that shift and said, all right, you need to cross over. And he said, okay, what I want you to, my God, this is my guide. He said, what I want you to do is I want you to bubble up your car, and then I want you to go get in your car because you're stronger there. Now, if I haven't mentioned this before, I will just say this quickly. When it comes to where your energy is most balanced, peaceful, calm, and strong, it's going to be in the places that you spend the most time: your home, your bedroom, your car, your office. Okay. So I did exactly that. I'm standing in front of the store. I looked at my car. I put like a GCP bubble around my car. And then I walked to my car kind of fast because I wasn't quite into my job mode yet. Got into the car and I could just feel the fear dissipate. And that's when my guide said, okay, find him, cross him over. And I did. When I linked into his energy, because I had already experienced it in the store. So I already had kind of a hint and a link to it. I linked into it, pulled him up and just said, it's time for you to go. Now, I didn't get any visuals at that point. I didn't see him there. I just set the intent of him crossing over. Can I say 100% today that I crossed him over? This is one that I can't, because I was battling with my human concern as well. So if you said, hey, Bo, are you sure you crossed him over? I don't know. I set the intent. I set the intent for the highest good. I set the intent for, not with me today. That's not going to happen. And then I went home. I called a close friend who's an energy worker and said, this is what's happened. Can you just check my space, double up my GCP on my home, make sure that I'm cool? She did, because we should always ask for help. Now, I could have gone through that situation, gotten in my car, gone home, asked for help, doubled up my GCP, disconnected from this person, the spirit's energy, because I was so creeped out. But here's the thing. He was reacting that way because that was his comfort zone. That was how he felt powerful. And he was stuck in the in-between, which made him feel weak and scared. When people in the in-between are stuck feeling weak, they can overreact in the sense of doing things that make them feel powerful to soothe themselves so they aren't struggling. And that's exactly what this man did. So it's important, even in a situation like that, to make sure first you're okay. And then secondly, to try to do something to help this person cross over. Because even though he was acting the way he was acting, and it was not cool by me in any way, shape, or form, he's still a person. Because remember, ghosts are people too.
This podcast has been brought to you by the Crossing Over Community, a loving and safe community of individuals who are shining light on the beautiful process of the death transition. Members of this community are amazing people just like yourself. Join the discussion, access more in-depth trainings, and be a part of this growing movement by joining the Crossing Over Community today.